Alright, let's go. Number 10. The infinite bubble bath. In 1980, physicist Alan Guth proposed a theory that solved several major problems in cosmology at once. His idea, called cosmic inflation, suggested that in the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, the universe expanded faster than the speed of light, doubling in size repeatedly until it became the cosmos we observe today. The theory has since been refined by physicists like Andre Linde, who took Guth's work to its logical conclusion and arrived at something deeply unsettling. Linde's eternal inflation model suggests that the process which created our universe never actually stopped. In regions outside our observable cosmos, space is still inflating, still doubling, still spawning new universes at an incomprehensible rate. Each new bubble that forms becomes its own self-contained reality with its own physical laws, its own constants, its own version of time. Our universe is just one bubble among an infinite foam of others, separated by walls of inflating space we can never cross. What makes this theory particularly disturbing is what infinity actually means. In an infinite multiverse, every possible configuration of matter must exist somewhere. There are universes where you made every other choice you could have made. Universes where humanity never evolved. Universes where the laws of physics are so alien that nothing we recognize as matter can exist at all. Every nightmare, every paradise, every variation of reality plays out endlessly in bubbles drifting through an inflating void. The truly horrifying aspect is that these other bubbles are completely unreachable. The space between them expands faster than light, meaning no signal, no probe, no information of any kind can ever cross from one to another. We are sealed inside our bubble forever, surrounded by infinite worlds we can never see or contact. And somewhere out there, infinite versions of you are living lives you'll never know about, making choices you'll never see, dying deaths you'll never witness. The mathematics are absolute. If eternal inflation is correct, you are not unique. You are one of infinite copies, separated from yourself by walls of expanding nothing. Number 9. The Mother Universe. In 2010, theoretical physicist Lee Smolin proposed something that turned cosmology into biology. His theory of cosmological natural selection suggests that universes reproduce. Inside every black hole, the singularity at the center might not be an endpoint, but a beginning. A new Big Bang, spawning a new universe with slightly different physical constants than the parent. Universes that produce more black holes produce more offspring. Over countless generations, the multiverse evolves toward configurations that maximize black hole production. Our universe contains an estimated 100 million supermassive black holes and possibly trillions of stellar mass black holes. Each one, according to Smolin's theory, is a womb. Each one is creating a new cosmos with its own laws, its own timeline, its own potential for life. We exist inside a reproductive organ of something vastly larger than ourselves, and we are participating in its breeding cycle without knowing it. What makes this theory particularly unsettling is what it implies about purpose. If universes evolve like organisms, then ours was selected for one trait above all others: black hole production. The fine-tuning of our physical constants, the precise values that allowed stars and galaxies and eventually life to exist, might not be for our benefit. We might be a byproduct, an accidental side effect of a universe optimized to create more universes. Our entire existence, every star, every planet, every conscious thought, could be irrelevant to the actual function of the cosmos we inhabit. Somewhere outside our universe, there is a parent. Somewhere, our own black holes are spawning children. We are a single generation in an evolutionary lineage of cosmoses, stretching back billions of generations and forward into incomprehensible deep time. The mother universe that birthed ours had its own mother, and so on, backward into a genealogy we cannot trace. We are not the beginning of anything. We are a middle chapter in a story written in the language of singularities. Number 8. The brane collision. In 1999, physicists Lisa Randall and Raman Sundram published a paper proposing that our entire universe might exist on a four-dimensional membrane, floating in a higher dimensional space called the bulk. This idea, drawn from string theory and developed further by physicist Paul Steinhardt, suggests that what we call the universe is actually a thin sheet of reality, like a single page in a book of infinite pages. Other branes exist parallel to ours, separated by a higher dimension we cannot perceive or access. Some might be inches away in the bulk, but completely invisible to us because our consciousness is locked into the three spatial dimensions of our own membrane. We can no more see them than a drawing on a piece of paper can see another drawing on the page beside it. What makes this theory particularly terrifying is the cyclic universe model that emerged from it. Steinhardt and his colleague Neil Turok proposed that the Big Bang was not the beginning of everything, but the result of two branes colliding in the bulk. Every few trillion years, branes drift toward each other through the higher dimension, accelerating until they smash together in an explosion that resets the universe completely. Every star, every galaxy, every memory of every conscious being is annihilated and replaced with a fresh expansion. The collision has happened before. According to this model, it has happened countless times. Every previous universe ended in fire when the branes met, and every new universe began in the aftermath. Somewhere in the bulk right now, our brane is drifting toward another. The next collision is already scheduled. We just don't know when. The truly nightmarish aspect is the precision of the model. There is no escape from a brane collision. It happens everywhere simultaneously across the entire membrane. There are no shelters, no spacecraft fast enough, no dimensions to hide in. When the next collision arrives, every atom in our universe will be erased in the same instant, and the universe that replaces ours will have no memory that we ever existed. Number 7. The simulation server farm. In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom published a paper that has haunted physics and philosophy ever since. His simulation argument proposed that if any civilization ever develops the technology to simulate conscious minds, they will likely run countless such simulations, meaning the number of simulated realities vastly outnumbers base realities. Statistically, we are almost certainly inside one, but Bostrom's argument leaves an even darker question unanswered. If we are in a simulation, what exists outside it? The conventional answer is a server, a computer, a programmer, but the implications run deeper than hardware. Outside our universe, there might be a vast computational infrastructure running not just our reality, but billions of others simultaneously. A server farm of cosmoses, each one humming away in isolation, each one populated by beings who believe their reality is fundamental. What makes this theory particularly disturbing is the question of resources. Every simulation costs processing power. Every conscious mind requires computation. The civilization running our universe must allocate its resources somehow, prioritizing some simulations over others, shutting down ones that become too expensive or uninteresting. Outside our cosmos, there might be administrators making decisions about which universes get to continue and which get terminated. There might be budget meetings. There might be quarterly reviews. The implications extend further into nightmare territory. If our universe is one simulation among billions, we are competing for attention and resources with other realities we will never know about. The civilization outside might have favorites. They might have a universe they consider their masterpiece while ours is treated as a forgotten experiment running in the background. We might be the cosmic equivalent of a tab left open in a browser, consuming memory while no one watches. And somewhere outside our reality, there is a power button. Whoever holds it has never used it on us yet, but there is no guarantee they never will. Number 6. The parent dimension. In 1919, mathematician Theodore Kaluza sent Albert Einstein a paper proposing something radical. By adding a fifth dimension to Einstein's theory of general relativity, Kaluza could unify gravity and electromagnetism into a single mathematical framework. Einstein was initially skeptical, but eventually endorsed the idea. Modern string theory has expanded on this work, suggesting that our universe might contain not 4 dimensions, but 10 or 11, with the extra dimensions curled up so small we can never directly observe them. But what if those extra dimensions are not curled up? What if they extend infinitely outward, and our entire universe is just a thin slice of a much larger reality? In this scenario, the cosmos we observe is like a shadow cast by something much greater, a 3-dimensional projection of structures that exist in dimensions we lack the senses to perceive. What makes this theory particularly unsettling is what those higher dimensional structures might contain. Mathematically, a 4-dimensional being could see inside our bodies the way we see inside a 2-dimensional drawing. They could observe every cell, every neuron, every thought as it forms. They could reach into our universe and rearrange matter without breaking through any wall, because from their perspective, there are no walls. Our sealed rooms, our locked vaults, our private moments would all be completely exposed. Such beings might already exist. They might have been observing humanity for our entire evolutionary history, watching us from a vantage point we cannot conceive of and cannot defend against. We would have no way to detect them. Our instruments measure 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time. Anything outside that framework is invisible to us by definition. The truly horrifying aspect is the asymmetry. They can see us completely. We cannot see them at all. And if they ever decide to interact with our universe, we will experience it as miracles or catastrophes with no apparent cause. Events that violate physics because they originate in dimensions where our physics does not apply. Number 5. The void of true nothing. In philosophy, there is a question that has tormented thinkers for thousands of years. Why is there something rather than nothing? Most attempts to answer it assume that nothing is the default state and something requires explanation. But what if the actual nothing, the genuine absence of everything, exists just outside our universe as an infinite ocean of non-being? This is not the empty space we imagine. Empty space still has properties. It has dimensions, it has quantum fields, It has the potential for particles to flicker into existence. True nothing has none of these. It is the absence of space itself, the absence of time, the absence of possibility. It cannot be measured because there is nothing to measure. It cannot be entered because there is nowhere to enter. What makes this concept particularly terrifying is what it implies about the boundary of our universe. If our cosmos is finite, then somewhere out there is an edge. And on the other side of that edge is not more space, not darkness, not even vacuum. It is the absolute negation of existence. Anything that touches it would not be destroyed. It would simply cease to have ever been. The information that defined it would not be erased, because erasure requires a process. It would unhappen. The implications are difficult to even articulate because language assumes existence. We have no words for what exists outside existence. We can only gesture at it with mathematics and metaphor, both of which break down when applied to true nothing. Some physicists have proposed that our universe is expanding into this void, slowly displacing nothing with something as the fabric of space stretches outward. Every moment, the boundary between being and non-being moves a little further out. But the void is not passive. In some models, it pushes back. The accelerating expansion of our universe might be evidence of pressure from the other side, the nothing trying to reclaim the space that something has temporarily occupied. Eventually, in the deep future, the void may win. Our universe will not end in fire or ice. It will end in the simple recognition that it was never supposed to exist in the first place. Number 4, the observer civilization. In 1961, astronomer Frank Drake formulated his famous equation to estimate the number of communicative civilizations in our galaxy. The math suggested we should have neighbors. We have found none. But what if the silence is not because there is no one out there, but because the ones who matter are not in our universe at all? Some theorists have proposed that sufficiently advanced civilizations would not remain inside their universe of origin. They would find ways to escape into the higher dimensional space surrounding it, abandoning their cosmos the way a butterfly abandons its chrysalis. From their new vantage point in the bulk, they could observe not just their home universe, but all universes simultaneously, watching the rise and fall of civilizations across infinite parallel realities. What makes this scenario particularly disturbing is what it implies about us. If such observer civilizations exist, they have likely been watching humanity since before we evolved. They have seen every empire rise and fall. They have witnessed every act of love and cruelty in our entire history. They know how our species ends because from outside time, our timeline is laid out before them like a completed manuscript. They do not intervene, whether out of philosophical principle, cosmic ethics, or simple disinterest. They remain silent observers. We are not their colleagues or their enemies. We are their entertainment, their research, their data. Our wars are case studies. Our breakthroughs are footnotes. Our extinction, when it comes, will be cataloged alongside billions of others in archives that exist beyond the reach of any universe. The truly horrifying aspect is the certainty. If observer civilizations exist outside our cosmos, they have already seen the end of humanity. They know exactly when we die, how we die, and whether anything we built outlasts us. They could tell us. They never will. And somewhere in their archives, the chapter on our species is already complete, waiting for the events it describes to play out on schedule. Number 3, the ancestor reality. In 1957, physicist Hugh Everett proposed the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, suggesting that every quantum measurement creates new branches of reality where every possible outcome occurs. The theory has remained controversial but influential, and some physicists have taken it in directions Everett never anticipated. What if the branching does not just create parallel universes but stacks them in a hierarchy? What if some realities are more fundamental than others? In this model, our universe is a descendant. Above us in the hierarchy is an ancestor reality, a more fundamental version of existence from which our cosmos branched off. Above that ancestor is another ancestor and another, stretching upward through layers of increasingly real realities until reaching some original substrate that gave birth to all of them. Each layer is more vivid, more detailed, more real than the layer below it. What makes this theory particularly unsettling is the implication for our experiences. If we exist in a derivative reality, then everything we feel is a diminished version of what beings in higher realities feel. Our love is a shadow of love. Our pain is a sketch of pain. Somewhere above us, there are beings experiencing emotions and sensations so much richer than ours, that our entire inner lives would seem flat and empty by comparison. We are living in a low-resolution copy of consciousness itself. The truly nightmarish aspect is the question of what happens at the bottom. If reality has layers, and each layer is less real than the one above, then somewhere below us are realities so faint that their inhabitants barely exist at all. Their universes are quick sketches, their consciousness is barely a flicker, and we, from their perspective, are the gods of higher reality looking down on them, just as the beings above us look down on us. We are caught in the middle of a hierarchy we cannot climb and cannot escape. Above us, more real beings live richer lives. Below us, less real beings live thinner ones. Our position in the stack was assigned before we were born, and nothing we do in this lifetime will move us a single layer in either direction. Number 2, the dreaming entity. In ancient Hindu philosophy, the universe is sometimes described as the dream of a sleeping god. When the god wakes, the universe ends. When the god dreams again, a new universe begins. For thousands of years, this was treated as mythology, but in recent decades, some physicists and philosophers have begun to consider whether something like it might literally be true. The theory goes like this. Outside our universe, there exists a single vast consciousness, an entity so large and complex that its thoughts are entire realities. We are not creations of this entity in the conventional sense. We are part of its mental activity. Every star, every planet, every conscious being is a feature of the dreaming mind, like characters in a dream who believe they are real because the dreamer has not yet woken up. What makes this theory particularly disturbing is the question of attention. Dreams do not maintain consistent details. The parts of a dream the dreamer focuses on become vivid and stable. The parts they ignore become vague and contradictory. If our universe is a dream, then the regions of reality currently being observed by the dreaming entity are sharp and well-defined. The regions it has stopped paying attention to are dissolving into inconsistency without us noticing. The implications run deeper. The entity has no obligation to keep dreaming us. At any moment, its attention might shift entirely to another dream, another universe, another reality it finds more interesting. We would not feel the transition. From our perspective, nothing would happen, but the depth and stability of our existence would silently drain away, replaced by the diminishing residue of a fading dream, while the dreamer focused on something new. Eventually, the entity will wake up. Whatever wakefulness means for a being that exists outside our universe, that moment is coming. When it arrives, the dream ends. Our cosmos, our history, our consciousness, all of it will simply cease to be thought about. We will not die. We will be forgotten by the only mind that was ever holding us together. Number 1, the recursive cosmos. In 1931, mathematician Kurt Gödel proved something that shattered the foundations of mathematics. His incompleteness theorems demonstrated that any sufficiently complex logical system contains statements that cannot be proven true or false within the system itself. To verify them, you need to step outside the system into a larger framework, but that larger framework has its own unprovable statements, requiring an even larger framework to verify, and so on forever. Some cosmologists have applied this insight to the universe. If our cosmos is a logical system, then there are truths about it that cannot be verified from inside it. To verify those truths, something must exist outside our universe that contains it as a subset, and that outer reality must itself be contained in something larger, which is contained in something larger still, in an infinite regress that has no final layer. What makes this theory particularly terrifying is what it implies about the structure of existence. There is no top. There is no foundation. Reality is not a building resting on solid ground, but an infinite tower with no base. Each level supported only by the level above it, which is supported only by the level above that, forever. Nothing holds up the whole structure because there is no whole structure. There is only the recursion itself. The implications destroy any hope of ultimate explanation. We will never understand why our universe exists because the answer lies in a higher reality, which can only be explained by an even higher reality, which requires another above it. Every question we ask about the foundation of existence pushes the answer one layer further out. The truth is always one level beyond reach, no matter how far we climb. The truly horrifying aspect is the loneliness of it. If reality has no foundation, then there is no original reality, no first cause, no prime mover, nothing that simply is on its own terms. Everything depends on something else. Every universe is borrowed from a larger one. Every existence is contingent on an existence above it. And nowhere in the infinite tower of cosmoses is there a single thing that exists for its own sake. We are real only because something larger is real. That larger thing is real only because something larger still is real. And the recursion never ends. We are infinitely deep in a stack of borrowed existences, and the loan can never be repaid because there is no original lender. There is only the falling, forever, through layers of reality that go on without limit, holding us up by a chain of dependencies that has no first link. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.